Imagine if one day you teleported in a place where every single wish you make comes true. Power, appearance, wealth, even countless beautiful women, anything you desire becomes reality, before you getting reincarnated. The story begins as KAMISHIRO makes the same old commute to do the same old job every single day of his miserable life. He was always told that a routine-filled life would lead to happiness, but there's a small part of him that wants something different. KAMISHIRO looks closely at a strange scene on his TV, and he's stunned when he gets teleported somewhere. A man says that he's the one who manages the solar system, so KAMISHIRO wonders if that makes him an alien. The guy says that he's closer to a god, and he shows KAMISHIRO a planet called Matias. Matias fails to thrive no matter what they do, as civilizations on the planet just die out every now and then. The failure has gone on for too long. So, the man has decided to do something more drastic. He will give this planet a single drop of water, because even just one drop can create giant waves capable of changing the entire planet. Surprisingly, he has chosen KAMISHIRO to be this drop of water. This is quite the responsibility in KAMISHIRO's eyes, but the god explains that KAMISHIRO isn't alive anymore anyway, so if he doesn't go, then he will vanish along with his soul. The god knows exactly how to make the deal better, as he explains that he will give KAMISHIRO special powers, as many as he wants. The god starts by giving him magic and maxed out mana, but he wants to hear what KAMISHIRO wants. KAMISHIRO instantly goes from skeptical to excited and declares that he wants cute partners to join him on his quest. Much to KAMISHIRO's delight, the god explains that he will meet them in time, and he continues to add powers. He strengthens KAMISHIRO's search ability, and makes it so he can make money by selling materials. A handbag for him to put all his gathered materials in is added, and so is the ability to understand every language in the world. Also, to bolster his defense, he gives KAMISHIRO several resistances. Just then, KAMISHIRO begins to disappear, which means it's almost time for him to go. The god wonders if he gave KAMISHIRO too many abilities, but there's no going back. He expresses concern, however, when he sees who KAMISHIRO's partner will be, and he wonders if it will really be okay. This makes KAMISHIRO freak out, but there's no time to explain, and the god simply tells him that he will be okay. Moments later, KAMISHIRO wakes up in his new world and in his new body. He isn't really sure about what he's supposed to do, so he goes to look for a place with people. KAMISHIRO finds a village, but he realizes that he won't be able to buy food without any money. Just then, he remembers that the gods strengthened his search ability so he could find materials to sell. KAMISHIRO activates his search magic ability, but he's disappointed when nothing happens. He realizes that he was just saying it wrong, so when he correctly says it, little symbols pop up everywhere. The symbols show him where the materials are, and saying the words can shows him more details about them. KAMISHIRO is pleased to have such helpful abilities, and he can't believe his luck when the first material he gathers is AB rank. KAMISHIRO spends more time gathering all the materials shown by his ability, but most of them turn out to be low ranks. Everything is rank, but a strange stone catches KAMISHIRO's eye. He thinks it might be valuable because of how pretty it is, but it turns out to just be a poop, and he can't understand why it's a C rank. KAMISHIRO is still pleased because at least he learned that the things he can sell are categorized by different symbols, and he can find them by using his search magic. With his bag filled with materials, KAMISHIRO can't wait to see how much money he will get, so he rushes to the village. The guard at the gate assumes that KAMISHIRO is a knight because of how insanely tall he is, but KAMISHIRO just says that he's a seller of materials. This would make him a gathering specialist, which the guard says is pretty rare. He introduces himself as Marlowe and explains to KAMISHIRO that they don't have a material store, but they do have a general store. KAMISHIRO goes straight there, and the shop owner is amazed when KAMISHIRO shows him the poop. He calls it the feces of a hammer anteater, and is way too impressed by its good shape and nice color. He credits KAMISHIRO for doing such a good job finding an exquisite item and offers to give him 5 gold coins for it. KAMISHIRO has no clue about how much that is, so the man explains that a one-night stay at an inn cost 500 raves and 1 gold coin is worth 1,000 raves. KAMISHIRO does the conversion in his head and is shocked to find that this guy is willing to pay $400 for a poop. The guy gets way too excited when KAMISHIRO accepts his offer, and KAMISHIRO can't believe that he's even rubbing it on his face. Our hero shows him the rest of his haul, and the guy can't believe that KAMISHIRO got it all by himself. He wonders why he would bring such great items to a shop in middle of nowhere. So Kamishiro just says that he enjoys traveling while gathering all sorts of materials. After seeing Kamishiro's skills, the man decides to ask him for a favor. He reveals that there's a mithril in a mountain nearby, and he wants Kamishiro to get it. Kamishiro is always up for an adventure, so he accepts, and the man gives him 360,000 raves for all his stuff. Converting this amount nearly makes Kamishiro faint as it converts to almost $25,000. Before Kamishiro leaves, the man reveals that there are monsters on the mountain, but he is sure that Kamishiro can handle it. Before going to the mountain, Kamishiro spends a night at an inn, and a girl brings him a bowl of water. It costs 30 raves, and Kamishiro's surprised to hear that it's to clean himself with. Of course, our hero would rather take a bath, but he's horrified when she explains that there are no baths here. Sorcerers are able to clean people with magic, but they don't have any of those in town either. Hearing the word magic gives Kamishiro an idea, so he pays the girl for the water so she can leave. When he's alone, Kamishiro tries out a few words, and when he says clean, the magic activates. Moments later, Kamishiro finds that he's cleaner than he has ever been, and he realizes that he can do any type of magic as long as he finds the right word for it. On his way to the mountain, we see that Kamishiro has started to get the hang of things, and he's shocked to find a spade symbol for the first time. He eagerly goes to check what it is, but is horrified when it turns out to be a skeleton. His ability is even able to show him the name of the person that passed away and their rank. What's most interesting, though, is a family amulet that he finds next to the skeleton. His ability shows that the amulet was made by the guy's mother, and Kamishiro decides that he can't just leave the body the way it is. After reading the letter inside, it's a heartfelt letter from the guy's sister telling him not to push himself too hard. After burying the skeleton, Kamishiro heads to a different area and creates a barrier around himself. He then puts several herbs that he picked up and some seasoning in a bowl before finally adding some meat. Kamishiro amazes even himself when he tastes the delicious stew, and he says that getting isekai is the best. Eventually, he reaches the forest of ancient dragons, which is a dangerous place rampant with monsters. Kamishiro uses a light to help him see all the symbols, but he doesn't see any or at all. He doesn't see a single animal either, so he wonders if it's because he's super smelly right now. Kamishiro just accepts it as it means he won't get attacked, and he's relieved when he can see the end of the forest. Unfortunately, it also turns out to be the end of the ground beneath his feet, and Kamishiro falls off a cliff. Kamishiro cycles through all the words he can think of, but none of them work. Float and levitate don't work, but he finally tries fly, and it activates the flying ability. Kamishiro lands safely on the ground and is ecstatic to see the symbol for ores all around him. He gets to work gathering as much as he can, but he still doesn't find any mithril ore. He notices a faint symbol, which means that the ore must be deeper in the wall of the mountain. So, Kamishiro says blaze and uses a fireball to destroy the wall. This works out perfectly as he finally finds the mithril ore, but it isn't very much. The cave begins to shake, which means it might cave in, but Kamishiro wants to see how far he can go. Exploring further leads him to a strange place with water clearer than he has ever seen. Scanning the water reveals that it's double S rank, and it's the most valuable thing he has found so far. Reading the details explains that the water contains the magic element of an ancient dragon, which means the dragon needs to live here. Kamishiro decides not to worry about that and prepares to take as much of the water as he can. Before throwing out the water in his water container, Kamishiro wants to check if the dragon water is drinkable first. So, he goes to take a handful. Just then, a terrifying dragon emerges from the water and is furious about Kamishiro not responding to him. Kamishiro's in disbelief, and the dragon is also surprised as Kamishiro was able to withstand his pressure. Kamishiro instantly apologizes for intruding on the dragon's home, and the dragon is impressed by his guts. Kamishiro introduces himself and explains that he's a human, but the dragon has a hard time believing him. The dragon felt an overwhelming amount of mana flowing from him, and it was enough to wake him from his slumber. Kamishiro has no clue what he's talking about, but the dragon explains that Kamishiro's mana is enough to even rival his own. The ancient dragon's name is Voldius, and he reveals that he has a request for Kamishiro. Voldius acknowledges Kamishiro's purity of strength, and it makes him think that Kamishiro might be able to awaken his child. Of course, the dragon is not asking him to do it for free, so he reveals that he will give Kamishiro a ton of mithril core in return. Voldius shows our hero the egg that won't hatch, but he has no clue about what he's supposed to do. Voldius instructs him to pour his mana into it, the same way he created his light. Kamishiro says the word heat to heat it up, but he gets worried when a great power surges all around him. Something is clearly wrong, but Voldius lets out a huge laugh. Kamishiro's body starts getting pulled into the egg, and he thinks about how he just arrived in this world, and he was hoping to see more of it before he passed away. Seconds later, KAMISHIRO finds himself in a strange place, and a voice calls him reckless. KAMISHIRO wonders if this is the god from earlier but realizes that it's a different person. This girl explains that she has been fiddling with this planet for tens of thousands of years, but it only took KAMISHIRO one day to cause a huge ripple, and she doesn't like that. KAMISHIRO has no clue what this girl is even trying to say, but the girl just sends him away. KAMISHIRO's confused when he returns to the world, but glad when he sees that he was able to make the egg hatch. Voldius asks KAMISHIRO to name the baby, but KAMISHIRO isn't sure if he should. Voldius explains that it's okay because the child already has its true name, and he just wants KAMISHIRO to give him his common name. KAMISHIRO agrees to do it, and names the baby Dragon Bee for Black. Voldius tells Bee to explore the vast world as much as he likes, and it joins KAMISHIRO's party. KAMISHIRO points out that the little guy was just born and questions if it's a good idea for Voldius to just let him go with a stranger like him. But Voldius isn't worried. He points out that KAMISHIRO is stronger than him, and he feels safe leaving his child with him. Voldius then gives KAMISHIRO his reward by shooting a beam at his bag, and he says goodbye. KAMISHIRO formally asks Bee will accompany him on his gathering journey, and the little dragon agrees. KAMISHIRO couldn't be happier, but first he cleans the stinky little dragon. That's the episode end for now. Thanks for watching my recap, and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. See you on next video.